Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. About 100 years before Martin Luther sparked the Protestant Reformation, there was another reformer named Jan Hus. Hus lived in Czechoslovakia, and many of his ideas were similar to the reforms Luther later promoted. Hus, however, failed in his reform effort and was burned at the stake. Hus reportedly said, "You may kill this goose, but a swan will come." One key reason Luther succeeded where Hus failed was the invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg. Hus came before the printing press, allowing the authorities to contain and control his ideas and keep them from spreading. But by the time of Luther, the press made containing his ideas impossible. Another person who made good use of the printing press was Argula von Grumbach. This week we are looking into mothers of the Reformation, women who played important roles in the Protestant Reformation, but who are often overlooked. In fact, it would be my guess that you've never heard of Argula von Grumbach, and I'll admit that after a 4-year college degree in religion and 4 years in seminary, I hadn't either. However, she is well worth knowing about. She was born in Bavaria in 1492, and her family made sure she was well educated and that she could read by an early age. When she was 10, her father gave her a very expensive and beautifully crafted Bible in German, even though the monks in the community advised him not to because it would only confuse her. They may have been right, for when Luther's ideas began to spread in the 1520s, she took great interest in them. She became an avid student of the Bible, memorizing much of its contents. As a young woman, Argula married and had 4 children, although only one outlived his parents. It seemed Argula managed most of the family business. Later, after she began her writing career, her husband, who was no reformer himself, was put under immense pressure to stop her efforts, even being told at one point that it was permissible to disable her to prevent her from writing, or even to strangle her without legal repercussions. What did she write that was so threatening? Well, at the time, Bavarian authorities had forbidden Luther's writings, and when a student at the university was found with some of Luther's books, he was arrested and forced to recant his beliefs or be put to death. Argula wrote a letter to the faculty urging the university to follow Scripture, not Roman traditions, and to explain what heresy the young man was guilty of. It also said that she had decided to speak out, even though she was a woman, because no one else would. Using Scripture to support her arguments, the letter caused quite a scandal and was an instant hit, being printed in 14 different editions over the next few months. More importantly, in the letter she used the idea of the priesthood of all believers to argue that she had the right to speak to the theologians this way. Following Luther's idea that all believers are equal before God, she proclaimed that her baptism was just like her opponents' baptisms, and that qualified her to speak just as much as them. She supported her argument, defending the young man and also her right to speak, using at least 80 scripture passages. She wrote many other pamphlets and poems, defending herself and promoting her ideas. Although her challenges to the university were largely ignored and her efforts to promote her Protestant beliefs unsuccessful, Argula was undeterred. She engaged in other exceptional activities in this cause, like traveling alone to Nuremberg, which was unheard of for a woman at that time, and she traveled there to encourage German princes to accept Reformation principles. She did get to meet Luther himself in 1530 and carried on a correspondence with him. Argula was highly controversial, shunned by some of her own family, and threatened with death. Nevertheless, she persisted in her efforts until her death. Of her, one reformer wrote that she knows more of the divine word than all the red hats, in other words, canon lawyers and cardinals. She knows more of the divine word than all the red hats ever saw or could conceive of, and compared her to heroic women in the Bible. We may never have heard of Argula von Grumbach, but she was certainly a mother of the Reformation. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.